about 11:30 at night, maybe 12 o'clock, somewhere in there. I just finished tarping it down. Got the lumber today, and of all things, it's going to rain all day tomorrow and snow possibly the next day. So I've got to tarp down tight and keep it all in one piece. Alright, so just a quick video follow up today. I unpacked my lumber and started in. And what I did today was started my first top plate and my sill plate, and I marked them all out. Hopefully you can see it's getting dark, but I marked out where every stud is going to go, the king studs and the jack studs for the windows, and they're all at 16-inch centers, all marked out. And I tried something different on this one. I put hinges on the bottom of all things. I didn't want the bottom to kick out when we lift it. My buddy says that he won't have to worry about that, but since I already done it, we're going to try this one like it. And hopefully tomorrow I'll start putting the studs in. There's my pile of lumber. Some of it's good, some's questionable, but hey, it is what it is. Hey everybody, just a quick update. We built a section of wall today. Dobie, my neighbor, came over and we spent the day on this. It's the first of many, and you can see kind of some of the details. The windows are in there, a lot of the blocking every 4 feet. The headers were actually built to 2x10s, and they have 2.5 inches of insulation inside of them. So that's number one. I'm going to go start laying out the other part and cutting out some blocks tonight. A lot of little parts that don't look like much but take time. Even on each side of the window you can see there's a channel, and then same in the corner. I've actually cut 2x6s down to fit inside there and keep them square, and then the rest of it is just for the blocking. And also, if we look way over the other side of the construction yard, there is the telehandler that Dobie dropped over. Literally an outdoor forklift, and that forklift can extend out 25 feet. That's how we're going to lift up the materials and lift up the walls. Hey everyone, just a quick update from rainy Jericho. We've had a day where it started out cloudy and ended up raining most of the afternoon, just drizzling. But Dobie was over, and Dobie does not mind working in the rain, so I don't mind working in the rain. And we actually got some pretty good progress. I mean, the first couple days we built one wall section, and in a matter of a day we built a second section. So looking at the top sill there, because it's facing us because we're standing it up, you can see the 4 windows in the side of the shed. They all just take a lot of time to do all the little blocking, and we did insulate the headers again. There's 2.5 inches of styrofoam inside the headers. A lot of little plain blocking. We still have some blocking to do in those open areas. But that was today's job. And about halfway right there, I think you can see the break in the 2-piece sections of walls. It's just too heavy to stand up one piece, so we'll stand them up in sections. And that was a section from the other day. Hey everybody! We have thrown together a quick little saw table. We need blocks, lots of blocks, little ones to fit in between all of the studs. And if you sit there and measure each one, you're going to be there for a long time. The next section of wall is 16 feet long. It needs about 64 blocks, to give you an idea. So rather than do that, my neighbor Adobe had some extra plywood. He pulled it over, set up some 2x6s that we had, made himself a little table. This is my old chop saw I had. Parents gave it to me years ago, so it's been around for a long while. To set up a quick little stop, we measured the distance between the blade and here, 14.5 inches. That's the space between the two studs. And all I have to do now, slide my piece of wood till it hits it. And we're done. And all I need is another 63 of them to do the next section. But that was our quick little throw together today, and it actually works out very well. And we can obviously adjust that. I can take this off. It's just screwed on. Put it wherever I want for whatever size blocks I want. Just happen I need a lot of these right now. That was today's adventure. Hope everybody's doing well. Good morning, everybody. Another fine morning in Jericho. Just time to unwrap everything. Morning ritual. Start pulling all the plastic off, getting everything ready to go for the day. All the little things to do first. I put oil in my machines every morning, because if you don't, they'll eventually seize up because the compressor is oilless, and they actually take some lubrication in the machine. So you try to put a couple drops of oil in the nail guns every morning first. Went through about 1,000 nails already. Well, 1,000 of my own I had, plus Adobe brought over a box. This is the second box. I bought another 4,000. We're ready for the day. Okay, time to start building. Now, you guys have heard me talk about cutting the blocking in that. What we've done, we've built the standard wall. In most walls, you wouldn't have all this blocking. Because the walls are so long, I've decided most people, again, would only block the 8 foot where the two sheets would come together, or halfway up the wall, if you will. I'm going to block every time there's a joint in your sheet, at 4 feet, 8 feet, 12 feet. We space this a little bit differently because I want the last full sheet to go all the way up into the rafters to tie the rafters in. So I'll put a 2 foot in the last one into the 4 foot. So that's why all the blocking. And this tightens up the whole wall. It gives you a joint where everyone is, holds the stud straight. Just does a lot of little benefits. A lot of extra work. Most people wouldn't do it. careful not to trip on everything. He's already cut on the table yesterday. This one I knew I'd have a problem with. Let's drive these in. You may wonder why we just don't cut them any old size or a little bit shorter, wouldn't have to pound it in. If you do that, then these won't maintain a 16-inch center, and then when you put a sheet on here, the sheet won't end right here, because you always want the sheeting to end halfway on one of these. If it ends over too far, well, you're going to have to cut it off, because the next sheet will have nothing to nail to. Too short, now you're cutting way back a foot to try ending up, what do you call it, hitting one. So the idea is to always get the sheet stand, what do you call it, dead center of these studs, and that's why we use 16-inch centers. Now again, the next one, and literally I'm going to just keep repeating it, but just to show me marking. Alright, good. Made this the other day, cut the end off one. People, why'd you cut a perfectly good tool? Because when you put the square on, they're always meant to be too long, because they actually would jump over to the next one, because typically you mark two at once and you want to make sure it runs off the end. But it doesn't help when you're building on the ground, so cut the end off the triangle, makes life easy. I've already got marks on each side where I lined up the other ones. So all I gotta do is go between, mark, 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 mark. I really only need one. I always do both. I'll probably not do both when other people are here, because they know what they're doing. They hate too many marks, confuse you. Most of the time when you're laying out a plate, you'll put one mark and an X on what side you want to put the stud on. That makes sense. It's quicker, it's easier. I'm just used to doing two. I make sure that I can see it then no matter what. Same here. Most people would probably just take this square when they're putting it in and go, yeah, it's chud. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. I'll do it sometimes, but I'm not a professional builder, and this just works for me. If I did every day for a living, I'd probably find a lot of shortcuts that I get used to. I'm even awkward with a nail gun. I've never really used one any amount. I don't build with one normally for the small amount of building I do. Hammer and nail went far. I bought that one years ago to do a project, and I don't think it's probably got the first 1,000 nail finally run through it. That's probably the original box that he finished off on this project to run through it. It'll get a workout now. All right, time to cut some more wood. Thank you all so very much. We just keep repeating this all day and get these 2 sections done. Then I'll jump onto the new wall. Got another 16 feet to build, and I've already got the sill and the top plate marked. So thank you again. Have a great day. Hey. Reasons for hating warped lumber. I'm the type of guy you hate to go to a lumber yard with, because when you go to a lumber yard with me, I will sit there for an hour to pick out 3 pieces of wood, because I want straight pieces of wood. I know people tell you, hey, don't worry, it's all going to pull, it'll all come back together, you can pull it in place, and this is the best you're going to get. But in the end, this is what happens when you use lumber that's warped. If you'll notice, these 2 sections of wall, which I thought I had done, are now not coming together at the ends. They touch in the middle, and then it's apart again at the end. Alright, so when you go to try pulling these walls together, I have measured these walls exactly, so those sill plates have to touch. If they don't touch, the wall will be too long and it won't fit onto the sill plate. This is a mud sill, it's already down on the foundation. And we thought, we talked about it, and he goes, don't worry, we can pull her in tight. Well, it's not going to pull. I can promise you we're not going to be able to pull that in tight, because when I double checked everything, what ends up being warped, and you can see a red line hopefully, is the wood we used on the windows. And we knew without a little bit, and you go, well, what's acceptable? It's only 1/4 inch, maybe a little more. But the problem is that pushed the next stud out, which pushed the next stud out, which gave you walls that don't fit together. So I'm going to now have to go in and cut the blocks. You can't move the window, it's fixed. That's a nice heavy 4 pieces of lumber nailed together forever. And it's only off a little bit, truthfully. It's within tolerance to get the window in. The problem is I gotta take the warp out of these pieces, or I'll never be able to fit the 2 walls together. So I'll cut the blocks loose and just cut about 1/4 inch off the blocks, maybe a little bit more. I've got already marked. I put a chalk line down. I don't know if you can see it, but I snapped the line onto each of the tops of the blocks to see how bad they were. And I will now cut through them, pull that last 2 studs straight, and then re-nail it. Big deal? Nah, not really. Not in the end. But just time consuming. I should have nailed everything together. I should have checked all this first and stopped myself and stopped everybody and just said, hey, let's make sure we're where we want to be. My own fault. And I'll correct you all now. Hey. Night is falling and it's getting cold and damp. But I guess I show the progress today. I cut those couple blocks, like I said. You can see now it's pulled together. It is straight, and the world is a happy place. And you can see all the way along where we started last week. And this section is just waiting for the blocking. And Dobie already threw together the next section for me today, and that's waiting for blocking too. So Depending on the weather, I'll start cutting and start nailing. Take a quick peek and see what the mountain looks like. Sun's already gone down, but still, it's always pretty to look at. Time to clean up and go in. Have a good night, everybody. Good morning. It's Saturday, May 1st. Just a quick picture here to show you guys after a couple days of soaking rain, which has delayed us a bit. It snowed last night. I got up and I looked outside and it was snowing away and said, well, sleep in for an extra hour. I'm sure it'll melt in a couple hours, but just one of them things. There goes Adobe already. He's already made a trip to the barn with dropping off his manure. Gary's milk truck's already emptying. And I'm just getting up. These guys have an early start. I hit the alarm and slept in for an extra hour, and it's supposed to be sunny today later on. Snow will have melted, dried up a bit, and we'll get back on the building. Well, crazy weather. We had snow this morning. You can see it's still on top of the mountain there. And we've got bright sunshine this afternoon. Hey, what can you do? Can't control it. We will work with it. But it is beautiful on top of the mountain. Just wish it would stay there. Hey everyone, Saturday afternoon. And as I said earlier, the snow melted and we're, I don't know, high 40s, low 50s, something like that. So I won't say a warm day, but not bad for working. I thought I'd point out a real amateur mistake I made and reasons you gotta stop once in a while and think when you're doing stuff. I have 4 windows in this wall. And on all 4 windows, I noticed when I lined up the wall there, they bump right above each of the windows. And I know right away what I did. When I was cutting the lengths of lumber to fit in the windows, I decided that the drawing had to be right, of course. The top piece of lumber was 63, I think, and 3/4 inches long. And I just cut them and handed it to Dobie, who was pounding them in, and he pounded them in. And I noticed he was pounding them pretty hard to get them to fit. And time made me think, but we were in a little bit of a rush, and I didn't stop. And when I went back to look, I go, geez, there's a bump above each window. Of course there is, because there's what I call a stack-up error. When you cut lumber, you can, if everyone's just a hair long and you pile them all together at the end, as there is, go along the window here, you know, a piece of wood at the bottom, and then the 2 sill plates, and then the header on top, and then the piece of wood, and you go all the way up. And by the time you get to the top there, you can see where the ruler is straight and the wall isn't. And it's a good 1/4 inch too long. So now I gotta go back and cut every one of those just about 1/4 inch shorter. Of course, now that they're nailed in, it'll be nice and fun. I'll do it with my Sawzall, won't be terrible, but just another one of those jobs. And let's see if we can see here. I've already marked the next one too. You can see where the line is and how much has to be cut, just about 1/4 inch too long. And let's see if we can see, you can see kind of there how the king stud should be touching the top plate. Instead it's being held off by the next piece of wood above the wall. So, yeah, just a little bit of repair work if you want it right. And you know, the error may disappear. Most people wouldn't even think about it, but everything else is perfect. The walls are straight, they're square, everything else. And I don't want a little bump above each window. It should disappear, but it may not. Maybe the sill's not even that straight, but No use adding to the error. We'll clear her all up, fix it up, and put it back together. Alright, we will talk to y'all later.